very last video on YouTube for me to watch on how to hit the driver further. So I've completed every single video. Now I'm hitting this ball with driver an absolute country mile. I drove a par 5 green just the other day. It's about 630 yards. So I might actually just have to start taking freewoods off these par 5 tees so I don't airmail the green. But in all seriousness, if you're struggling to hear me, it's because I'm down here at this unbelievably busy part of the golf club, the short game practice ground. I can barely hear myself think. And the reason I'm down here is because now that I can hit the ball 600, 700 yards, no problem, I'm actually down here reconnecting with the game of golf. Because, and now guys, I'll let you in on a little secret, the game of golf is all about how many strokes you take to get a golfing ball into a golfing hole. It is not about how far you can hit it with your driver. Of course, that's part of it. We do want some amount of distance to give us a chance of scoring, but this is where the real scoring takes place. The shorter shots, often the shots people don't spend anywhere near as much time practicing as they do with their longer clubs, especially driver. I mean, all you got to do is go to your local driving range. You don't see many people practicing sort of 80, 100 yard shots, do you? You see them absolutely nutting driver, and look, it's fun, we get it. But if you're really serious about bringing that handicap down, make good on the massive drives, and get that ball into that hole in fewer strokes. Because if you do hit that absolute bomb down the middle, you want to capitalise on it. And the shots I'm talking about are pitch shots, really. Not too far from the green. I've chosen about 25, 30 yards from the flag here. We're not going to use a golf club. We're just going to take a ball in our hand, trail hand, and we're going to stand side on as if we were playing a golf shot. And we are just going to simulate throwing this ball towards the hole. And so you'll notice that I'm just giving myself freedom of movement, a license to move, no thoughts about restricting any aspect of my movement, just letting my body move in whichever way it deems necessary to throw this ball towards the hole. And now my intention with this throw is to throw it low. So I don't want this really coming above my head height on this throw. So I'm going to simulate the throwing action, and then when I feel ready, I'm just going to release the ball and hold the finish. And then we'll notice where this action takes us to in a finish. About 2 foot from the hole there, kind of telling me I might sell my clubs and just use these instead. And start to notice this time how your body is moving. So you might notice my pressure is shifting from my back foot to swing back, and then to my front foot to swing through. But there's also some rotation taking place. I'm not trying to create this, I'm just simply reacting to my intention of throwing this ball low, about 25, 30 yards to the flag. So when you're ready, go again, and you hold the finish again. Now we're going to notice elements of this finish. So I'm noticing that pretty much all of my weight is on my lead side. I can see I've rotated somewhat, and my arm has finished through here, but notice that my palm is sort of facing towards my target. I haven't flicked it up to point back at me. It has stayed facing the target because the intention was to throw it low. So now just have a swing back and through to that same finish. And are you in the same finish? Is the weight in the same place? Have you rotated again? Is this palm facing the target again? And then what we can do is pick up a golf club. In order to transfer this feeling of us throwing this ball nice and low towards our target, we can just take the club in the trail hand and perform the same action, the throwing action, with the intention of it low. So if I were to take this club out of my hand, I've still got my palm facing more towards the target than it is facing back at me or the sky. Are you able to maintain that same sort of throwing action that you were sensing with the ball whilst there's a club in your hand? And if so, you can find that finish again and then bring your lead hand on. And now a few swings back and through with both hands on the club, allowing yourself to move, shifting that pressure, that weight, rotating. Whatever you notice when you were throwing the ball, you're probably going to start to notice when you've got the club in the hand as well. Now we can make some practice swings interacting with the turf. And now that we've got this sensory feedback from the ground, we've got a feeling through the club, but we've also got a sound to it when we brush the grass and thud the ground. And notice the timing of that thud in relation to the timing of your weight shift. So now what we can do is bring a ball in. What happens when we produce this swing when there's a ball there? We'll find out. You'll find out. Pretty good shot for me. And notice, I've got to the same finish because I've practiced it quite a lot with my throwing, but then also with the club in hand. My body's really started to recognise this finish that this swing takes me to. And then we can go again. Bring another ball in, maybe have another practice swing, really cementing that finish in, and then go again with the ball. Again, a really consistent flight. So the trajectory is very similar each time. And again. Caught that one slightly heavy, and I sensed myself moving the club and the body all together, whereas what I was noticing when I was throwing the ball is very much that the body moved first and then the arm just followed. So I didn't allow that to happen. I got a bit too involved with the club on that one. So that was my feedback. Make an adjustment and just let the club, the arms and the club, just react to my body more. Then I go again with the ball. And there we go, it's back. I allowed my body to move ahead of my club, the club followed, and we found that same finish again. And I got my nice lower flighted pitch shot back. If you've been used to playing a much higher flighted pitch shot that comes down with quite a steep descent angle, it takes lots of the energy out of the ball when it lands and therefore won't roll on so much. So you have to be really quite precise with that landing spot. Whereas when we're playing a lower flighted pitch like this, the descent angle is much shallower and therefore doesn't take so much energy out of the ball when it lands, and it will roll on a bit. And now I really like this technique for pitching because it actually, in my mind, gives us the best opportunity for holding the shot. If we get it rolling on the green earlier and rolling for longer, it's got more of a chance of going in the hole if you get it just right. Hopefully we will every now and then. And so I've just taken you through one particular kind of pitch shot here, and I hope that's going to help clean up the strike, attune you to the flight so that you can then get really creative and expansive with where you start landing these balls to get them as close to your target as possible. Now, of course, for those of you who've been watching our channel for a long time, you know we're all about adaptation and being creative and expressive and developing a really big repertoire for all sorts of different shots. Hopefully this video has just given you something to go and practice and play around with. But if you really want to explore the whole repertoire of short game, so flopping it up like Phil Mickelson, driving it in like I've just shown you, and everything in between, then any one of the coaching team here at GRF Golf would be happy to help you. There's a link in the description to book yourself in for a lesson. But for now, go and play around with this approach, and hopefully your handicap comes down and your enjoyment of the game goes up.